And Pete,
You always just happy when like defenders have been given like
not sure what happened there. That was weird from StreamYard. It kind of froze and bugged out. But I've got Harry in the building. How you doing, my boy?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Good to be with you. How's it going?
So always a pleasure being with you. And obviously, you know yourself from pre-season down to this season starting. There's a lot of hyper opinions around Arsenal Football Club. 1 minute we're winning the league, then let's throw everything down the toilet and everything in between. So it's nice to have people, whether I agree with everything they say or not, that have logical and rational decisions just for my own sanity. This is why I'm happy that you're here, because we know the talking points that are said around and the buzzwords. I want to kick things off because I know we're pressed for time. Yeah, obviously Arsenal drew a goal, well, drew 1-1 against City. What's your immediate thoughts in relation to it before I ask you a couple other stuff?
Obviously, a little bit disappointed that we didn't take all 3 points because we were better than Manchester City in so many aspects of the game. They'd already lost a couple of league games going into this one. They've shown that they're not that sort of inevitable, very, very difficult to beat side that they've been for so many years. There are cracks in the armor these days when it comes to Manchester City. And, I think had we done the right things from the beginning of the game, I think we stood a really great chance of actually overwhelming them. Look, getting caught on the break and conceding the way we did, it can happen against a team of that quality because, you're looking at a couple of players in Reinders and Haaland who just produce magic and, they managed to pull something off. You can get your approach right and still concede that goal, such is the level of the opposition. But I just think if we had gone a little bit braver in our approach in terms of the selection mainly, I felt that it could have been us that were dealing an early blow. It could have been us that were pinning Manchester City back from the very beginning of the game. And they've shown that they've got a bit of a glass jaw at the moment. They're not able to withstand pressure in the way that we are. We're a much better side than them defensively. And so we needed to test that, didn't we? But instead, I think we went for physicality. I think we went for that sturdiness that Arteta obviously really values. And look, to a point, it served us really well because we've got a great record against the big sides and we are a competitive team again. But you feel like when you do the business that Arsenal did in the summer, now it's about taking that next step. And I'm not sure in the early weeks of the season that we've shown enough to suggest that the mentality and the when I say mentality, I don't mean, the players wanting it or not wanting it. They obviously do. I mean, our approach to football matches has to slightly adjust. And I'm not sure that it has yet.
I know the media loves to say this, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but do you think, I've got to ask you, do you think like Mikel Arteta sets up not to lose these kind of games versus to win?
No, I think he sets up to win in that his message before the game will be, let's go and win this game. I don't think he sits there. Yeah, I don't think he sits there and goes, guys, it's all about defending well. He's not that guy, man. Like, it
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, what's he going to do? Come on, guys. We've done all this prep. Let's go and get a 0-0. Like, that's not what he's doing, is it? But I do think that because he is a manager who really does believe in control, and there are managers who think differently about how you go about winning football matches, right? So if you think about some of the great counter-attacking coaches over the years, their sort of superpower, if you like, or the thing that they would have been looking for was efficiency, right? We're going to generate 8 to 10 counter-attacking opportunities during this game. We need to take 2, 3 of them. Okay, we need that level of efficiency. Others play a numbers game. Mikel plays a numbers game. If I have most of the ball, most of the territory, if I have the ball in the right areas, the law of averages says that I'm going to create more chances and I should take more chances than the opposition do. I mean, we've seen it many times. There was a point where we kept doing this thing. We still do it sometimes, but we'd work the ball down the right-hand side. It'd get to Saka. He'd cut it back to the corner of the box, and then Odegaard would look up, try and clip it in towards the far post, and we'd be looking at the left 8, whether it was Xhaka, Rice, Marino, to come in and attack it at the far post. There was a point where we tried to use Kai Havertz to do that. That was percentage football. That was put it in the right areas, and something will fall your way. Something will drop your way. But you can't, when you get to the highest level and you're expected now to go and blow people out of the water, you've got to have more variety to what you do, and there's got to be more emphasis on your match winners. And I feel like we've got match winners at Arsenal,
Definitely.
but sometimes the kind of overarching approach, it just takes away some of that license that they have. And without that, I don't think they feel comfortable to do what it is that they were brought into the club to do. I mean, how do you see it?
I think you're bang on the money. I think I know it sounds cool when people sit there and say, "Oh, he sets up not to lose versus to win." I don't think any football manager can afford to do that. Of course, if there's certain circumstances where if you can't win, don't lose, but you're gonna kind of do what you do. I think if you're gonna criticize Arteta, it's more how you're going about it. I would say kind of what you're saying in that. I admire Mikel Arteta because at the end of the day, I know I'm not talking about sacking him and whatnot, but for argument's sake, if he left today versus when he walked in, we're clearly in a better stead. I feel his pragmatic approach has had benefits. It's got us into this realm. It's got us showing year in year improvement in the Champions League. Granted, no one wants to be second, but it's got us here. And when you remove agendas, Arsenal are one of the best teams in Europe and in the Premier League. It's got us that respect. Again, City was a full circle moment. I know we didn't win it, and that's my disappointing thing with Mikel Arteta in that for all the possession we had, for the records that Pep broke negatively going against his own philosophy, we weren't quite able to just get over the line and get 3 points. So that's got us here. We've got that healthy respect. I think we kind of need to, and maybe Arteta as well, we need to accept that we're in this room now. Like I look at the game at Anfield, I look at the game at City. It's not one where teams are like just blowing us out the water. They fear us just as much as we fear them. And as you said there, I think it's a numbers game. And I would even go a step further. It sounds dumb, H, but I would say it's almost too logical. I think I understand it. If I have X amount of chances, if we lose the ball, how quickly can we win it? I think there's that 10% of healthy randomness we need to keep other teams guessing. And just for football, like you said, with the Szoboszlai free kick on your platform, nobody could see that happen. No one had that on their bingo sheet. 9 times out of 10, that don't go in. But you can't criticize that. But it was more the phases in play which led to it. And actually, I know people criticize Mikel Arteta's in-game management. And granted, I've been very vocal on that. But it's more been the start of games. Granted, you could have started Odegaard and Eze at Anfield and it could have went left. You could have started what I wanted to see against City. It could have went left. But for me, I am at that point, if I'm honest with you, H, where I want to see Mikel Arteta do that because I would at least say, I would probably criticize it and say we could have done better here, there, and everywhere. But it might not have worked at Anfield or at the Emirates in the game on Sunday. But it might work 3, 4, 5 times across the season, which obviously, if I want different results and I see my manager doing different things, I'm kind of happy. Do you think he's too conservative? Because I don't feel it's a thing where you can blame the personnel now. I think you've got talented players. You have got Eze. You have got Marino, who's a box crasher. You have obviously got Gyokeres. So it's like, there's something you're not doing. Maybe you've got to, change the way you kind of play or press from the front. Do you think his conservative approach is kind of costing him making statements so far in games like Liverpool at Anfield or City that just went?
To say he's conservative would, I think, suggest that he goes into games with the intention of just not losing. And I don't think that's the case. I think he just has a view on how you go about winning that doesn't necessarily align with the view of many others and many other coaches that have won before him. I think that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think for me, like, in order to win a game, you've got to be in the game. And I think Mikel Arteta is someone, right, that lives by some of his post-traumas. So there was games when he first came in where against better sides where we were blown away within 15, 20 minutes and the game was done. Yep. I think as a player, when he played for Arsenal, he was part of an Arsenal team that would go to Anfield and go 3-0 down within 10 minutes. So I think he's someone that has been shaped by the experiences that he's had in the past. The problem is, and the question is, now that we've got to a point where we have that base level of competency, strength, solidity, defensive nous, can he now change the mindset? Can he now go, well, we're going to be in the game regardless because of what I've built at the back, for which he deserves a lot of credit. But now I need to be the one that's going after it. I need to be the enforcer here. I need to be more than just preventing. I need to be like actively going and attacking something. And that's where I think we're at a bit of a crossroads now. And the question is now, can he find that that sort of shift of gear, because it's really, really needed. And I'd imagine that, look, I don't believe that the players have lost faith in him or have lost interest in his ideas. They've not down tools at all. Like, I hate it when I read stuff like that because it's just so not true. Like there are many, many instances where you can look at a team and you can look at a manager and you can go, that relationship is gone. Like if you were to
Emery
tell me,
towards the end.
yeah, Emery, if you told me that Ruben Amorim's players don't care and are not sure about him and are questioning that system, I'd say, you know what? Maybe it's true.
It's
But it's
evident
not.
with the eyes.
It's not the case with Arteta. So that suggests to me that the messages are, or maybe not the messages, but the intention at least is the right one. How you go about achieving that, that's what's up for debate. That's where we're stuck. It's not about the intention or the intent. For me, it's about the journey to get into that outcome. I just feel like we're going down the wrong road at the moment.
Obviously, you're not a manager and you don't have UEFA badges, and neither of us know more than Mikel Arteta. But kind of tailoring on from that question, yeah, like how does he do that? Like, how does he go about that? How does he go about, getting over his PTSD, as some would say, and making us a bit more attacking minded? How does he start going for it? How does he maybe promote that to the players?
I think he's got to find a balance between who he was and who he is today.
Yeah,
Because if you go back a couple of seasons, do you remember that season where we scored the goal against Bournemouth, the Reece Nelson one? Do you remember what the kind of narrative or overarching kind of feeling around Arsenal was at that point? I was thinking about this the other day. It was they're too emotional. They're relying on scoring late goals. They're relying on
the
doing things
goalposts.
out of vibes and feelings. And we were called Vibes FC for a bit. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
I think he looked back on that and he probably agreed with it to a point. And he probably said, no, you know what? To be consistent,
I
we
need to be
actually
cold
have to
blooded.
be, yeah, we have to be colder than this. But now we're too cold. And like it's
Now we need a bit of fire and spark.
yeah, now we need fire and spark. And it feels like with Mikel, as I keep saying, he is someone that is shaped by what's gone on before. And in one way, that's good because it means that you're learning from your experiences. But at the same time, it means that you can overthink things and you can end up taking steps that might have been the right steps 6 months ago, a year ago. But as football evolves, as the tactical challenges that you come up against become different, as you bring in better players, maybe what you think was the right thing for that time is no longer relevant anymore. That's where, for me, he's a little bit lost in what he wants to do. Like you go and sign Madueke because he's a dribbler and he beats people. You go and sign Eze because he's a creative spark. You put him out on the left wing, even when everybody's telling you he's not really a left winger, because you're looking at his quality, his spontaneity, and then you don't pick these guys, in Eze's case, against Man City. Even in the absence of Odegaard, you don't pick him. You don't pick Nwaneri. Like, do you see what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
the team's evolved. You've got these guys now. You've got this skill set that you
We're
didn't
in a
have
different
before.
realm now.
Yeah, so use it. Otherwise, what the hell was the point in going and getting it? That's kind of where I'm at right now with some of the recent decisions we've seen.
That's my thing, Harry. It's a thing where we're in the realm now. And I understand, like, credit to Arteta and actually credit to Arsenal fans, because I know where we used to be. I still think every now and again we take ourselves back to that, where, like you were saying, we used to get battered, but we're here now. Like, I'm fair enough, we didn't win, and that's the level we need to get to. But Hans Slot is as scared of us as well. Arteta and Slot are as scared of each other. They cancel each other out. City are over respecting us. We're here now. And for me, I would say my frustration is, I think I speak for many logical Arsenal fans. We know preseason ain't a magical place you go to for 2 to 3 weeks and all the wrongs are written. And I know it doesn't happen in the early part of the season, but I wanted to see a bit of like inklings. And I feel there's too much squinting of the eye I have to do to see an evolution, specifically in the final third. I know we're going to score. I think our XG says we're open to scoring about 22 goals from open play. I know we're going to score significantly more than that. We've been scoring goals, but I want to see more things evidently on the eye. And I think I've been very critical of us in the final third, especially even as harsh as it is against Leeds and against Nottingham Forest. I think if you give us space, we can clearly do damage. Naturally, we're not going to get a lot of space, so we need to find a way around that. So I feel the kind of problems I had last season are still kind of here. I'm not expecting them to go, but I do have this element of Mikel Arteta, you keep doing the kind of same old things, hoping for something different, which naturally I hope changes. And as you said now, like, You've got Eze, you've got Gyökeres. Kind of, again, I can't imagine you're not subscribed to Harry, but make sure you're checking out his YouTube channel. It's in the title. We were speaking about, like, you've actually got the weapons now, and we don't want you to change in the sense that we like the fact that you overthink. We like the patient football. We like the pragmatic approach where it is. But now it's just about adding other balls to the arrow and making us a bit more unpredictable. And naturally, when I just got my fan cap on, I am a bit disappointed not to turn that domination, as he said, against City into 3 points, and obviously win at Anfield because of the broader picture that 3 teams are fighting for a title, and it would have been great. I got to ask you then, man. Again, I think me and you keep speaking about this, but I've got to ask you about Gyokeres, man. The Gyokeres dilemma, as I call it. It's one thing having a player, but it doesn't feel like we're creating much for him, especially in big games. Like, where are you at with Gyokeres?
Yeah, we're not creating anything for him, to be honest with you. And I sort of did a bit yesterday on my podcast, and I talked about him winning the award at the Ballon d'Or, the Gerd Muller Trophy, for being the kind of most lethal marksman across Europe. And I knew that when that came out, people's response was going to be, yeah, but look where he was playing and all the rest of it. I actually thought that served as a really timely reminder for what a good player we've brought in, and for the level that Viktor Gyökeres is able to reach. And actually, again, if we're talking about a lack of spark, then how can we attribute that down to the centre forward? Like, if we're talking about the midfield being imbalanced, not having enough creativity, should we be surprised that we're talking about our striker not being involved as much as we'd like him to?
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't. And this is the thing for me. Like, I hate the fact that narratives get formed and take shape so quickly, because most people that are really super knee-jerk in their analysis will be proven wrong more than they're proven right. Okay? Because things take time, things develop, things change. I'm not saying they'll always be wrong. Sometimes you go with your gut, man. Like, you will remember when it was Unai Emery.
Oh, mate.
Early on,
the guy.
Yeah, early on, we both said it. And the shit we got, man.
Especially because we said it when we was unbeaten as well.
Yeah.
That was not the guy.
Again, it was like, look into it, like analyze it properly. We'd gone 22 games unbeaten in all competitions. 7 or 8 of those games were against second-rate Europa League teams. We'd drawn a ton of those games. Like, there was no sign that Arsenal were better than they were before. We'd become a little bit sturdier defensively at the beginning of that run, but we'd lost that creativity we had under Wenger. So again, it was a trade-off. And like, people were choosing to be excited about one aspect of it, an element of it, while ignoring the other. And that brings me on quite nicely to Mikel Arteta, because he keeps talking about dominance. And this is one of my frustrations with Mikel. Listen, I'm a supporter. I want him to do well. I want him to succeed, because if he succeeds, Arsenal succeed.
Exactly.
But I hate it when he comes out after games and talks about dominance, because let me tell you this, it's not dominance. It is control. It is keeping someone else at arm's length, because if your XG is only marginally better than Manchester City's when you've had 66% of the possession, something is wrong. If you've had
it's not productive.
Exactly. If you've had the same number of shots on target as a side that barely had the ball, then there is something wrong. That's not something to celebrate. What Mikel has shown me is that he is brilliant at looking at a team and going, those are their strengths. I'm going to shut them down.
I'm going to nullify it.
For me, he's the best in the business right now at that. And you feel comfortable that Arsenal could go pretty much anywhere now on the planet. And if they needed to dig in, you feel like they could do it. Right? So that aspect of it is great, and it should be celebrated. But football is all about balance, and we don't have that balance the other way. So having the ball in the middle third, great. It means you're not going to concede probably. But if you're not making anything of it, then like, stop.
It's redundant, really.
It's redundant, exactly. And we're not silly. Like, we're not silly as fans. We watch enough football. We know enough about football. We don't know as much as Mikel. I agree with what you said, but we know enough about football to know that actually, we know enough to know that possession, without it sort of materializing into anything, doesn't mean a great deal. How many years under Wenger, DG, did we used to go to places like Old Trafford, have all of the ball, look like the better team, and then get done on the break by a Rooney or something, and
the game's
end up
done.
losing. And yeah, exactly. We've all lived that. Like he's lived some experiences and sort of maybe been shaped by them. So have we. Just in it from a different position. So yeah, I can't take the, we were dominant and this CEO and that president and all that rang me up to tell me, or whatever he was saying, how great it was. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I think it's unnecessary. And I think you're just doubling down when really what you should say is, look, we managed to limit Manchester City. We had a lot of the ball. We done a lot of things well, but we also were lacking in some areas. And if he said that, people would still be annoyed and moan and would still say, well, you spent all this money on the attack. Why can't you get it right? But I think that those in the kind of middle ground would be like, okay,
fair enough.
You got to find a solution, but at least you acknowledge what the problem is. Stop doubling down and sort of trying to paint a picture of this is all brilliant and fantastic, and I have no idea what you lot are moaning about, because that's not the reality.
Why do you think? Because obviously you're in the press boxes and 9 times out of 10, so you get to see it and feel it, and you can make your own direct kind of conclusions on it. Because for me, I'll see it on social media. I might see words and whatnot. You're actually there. What do you make of it? Like, do you think he's starting to get cheesed off? Do you think he's starting to hit back? Because I know, he got annoyed about comments about my midfield three. He's, when asked about Max Dowman, he doubled down on the handbrake stuff. He's doubled down on the domination. And I understand the domination comments in his mind, because logically it makes sense. But as you said, it's not I think you put it perfectly. Domination and control are the same thing, but it's not domination. It is control. And for me, whether you want to call it control or domination, it's not reflected in the scoreline. We need to get to that point now. I do think as a football club, we're not on the right side of the fine margins enough, Harry. Like, I look at PSG, I look at City, maybe I look at the Liverpool game. They're the times that I think we need to be on the right side. Simply put, we need to win those or get the 3 points, because that's the only thing that's missing. That takes us to being Champions League or Premier League winners. I think I said it on your platform. I think Arteta's pragmatic approach has made us contenders, and very good ones. I just think if he unloosens the strings in the final third, that might get us over the line. But like, what do you make of his comments and doubling down? Like, do you think he's starting to get peed off with the media? Do you think some would say maybe he's a bit petty, because it seems like he's of the nature he wants to give it as much as he's getting? Where are you at as someone that's actually seeing and hearing it?
Well, I got to be clear, because I get a lot of messages on X going, oh, you were in the press conference and you didn't ask Arteta this and you didn't ask Arteta that, right?
I don't envy you in that regard.
First of all, I've only been to one pre-match press conference this season. Of the 5 league games that we've had, if you include Bilbao and you include yesterday, we've had 7 press conferences, and I've only been to one of them. Just because, that sometimes I get assigned to go to a press conference, sometimes I don't. The other day against Bilbao or against Manchester City, I was working on the game as a commentator for Arsenal TV. I didn't go to the press conferences because that wasn't what I was required to do. So, like, I think in his press conferences, when we win, he's brilliant and he gives you loads of fantastic insight. And he's a joy to listen to. When we lose, like all good managers, he cannot wait to get out of the room.
He's horrible. You see it in his face.
Yeah, you can see it in his face. He's not interested. And why would you be, man? Like, I'd probably be the same. You can't say you want a passionate winner, but then get upset every time he shows a little bit of need or a little bit of frustration. I do think, and this is not to dig out anyone, I do think a lot of the time he gets asked stupid questions.
Yeah.
And if you get asked stupid questions, you're probably going to give stupid answers.
Exactly.
And like, as I said to you before, yesterday, he turned up to a press conference to talk about the Port Vale game. Okay, you're going to ask him about Madueke. Okay, you're going to ask him about some injury stuff that we're still a little bit unclear on. But again, we're focusing on Sunday's game. And if I was Arsenal and the press officer, I would be saying, guys, we're here to talk about Port Vale.
Leave it out, mate. Yeah.
We're here to talk about Port Vale. Why is this still happening? Why are we still doing this? We are now, as a football club, contributing to that narrative rumbling on and on and on, because we're not shutting it down. Shut it down. You've said your bit. You've done your interviews. You did an interview with Sky. You did an interview with Match of the Day. You did an interview on the radio on Sunday. You've done an interview with Arsenal.com. You've done all of that. Why are we still talking about it? That's where, and the more that we talk about it and the more that that's allowed to happen, the more irritated he gets by being asked the same, in some cases, silly questions over and over again. The more spiky he becomes, the more people clip him up, the more people turn it into something that it isn't, and the more of an issue we have. So
and we feed the engine.
We feed the engine, exactly. So I would just like to see, there is an opportunity to ask questions about Sunday's game. You ask the questions on Sunday and then see you later. Like, that's it. I think you can touch on themes relating to that game, like you want to say, about the midfield, for instance. But look, this is the thing that I hate, and I get this a lot, and I know Tom Canton gets this a lot, right?
Big up, Tom.
People will message you and go, or they won't message you, they'll just tweet you or whatever, and they'll go, "Why didn't you ask this?" Or you've asked something.
They don't know how press conferences
Yeah.
work.
That you've asked something, but you've asked it in a respectful way. And the reason you ask in a respectful way is so that you get an answer. Because if you go, "Oi, Mikel, you got it bloody wrong. Your midfield was shit on Sunday," what's going to happen? What are you going to take?
How people think you can speak in the press box, genuinely.
What are you going to take back to your newspaper to write about? Like, where's the quote? You need a quote from him. You need words from him. He's going to pull
and
the
you won't be
shutters down
invited
on you.
back. Like,
He's going to pull,
rightly so.
He's going to pull the shutters down on you. Like that's a bit of a myth, like that. They tell people you can't come and whatever. Like, because those people, like for me, I work for BBC London, right? BBC London have access to the press conferences. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anyone. They decide ultimately who goes. But having a decent relationship, and I'm not saying you have to agree with everything, but just showing a little bit of respect, it will get you more content and more insight than you would if you were an asshole.
Because Arteta will remember you, be like, "Oh, yeah, you know
100%.
what? That's Harry. He's nice to me. Let me, answer his question because I know it's coming from a nice place." You got to remember, people forget. Like, one, Arsenal are well aware of how the message comes out, and obviously, like you kind of touched on, Arteta could say the sky's blue. It becomes some mad talking point with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher hyper analyzing it and stuff. So it's jarring, man. So I don't even want to focus on that. I do want to ask you about two of our wingers. I got two more questions for you. Noni Madueke, what have you made of his start to Arsenal? And obviously the fact that he's got injured. And what did you make of Saka's return?
So I'm obviously glad Saka's back because he's on a whole new level to anything else that we got. And I think you saw that a little bit in the second half the other day. Like, things just kind of went up a notch or two. On Madueke, I've enjoyed Madueke's start. I think he's been a lot brighter and a lot more lively than people were anticipating. The Saka injury obviously pushed him into the spotlight a little bit more. I think it's been a good, solid start, but I do want to see just a bit more in terms of output, like goals and assists.
He missed that. Only thing he's missing.
Yeah, he needs to show something for those performances. Like, we've all watched those games and come away from those games and gone, yeah, he was a big threat. Like against Forest, I thought he was the best player. Zubimendi scored twice, and Gyokeres scored, and Eze provided the assist, and everybody was kind of talking about those guys. But for me, if you watch the game, if you watch the game, and this is where I get annoyed where people are too stats driven. I think stats should back up a point, not make one.
Facts.
I think you came away from that game, you would have said that Noni Madueke was the best player, and that's the way you should look at it. So he gets credit for that. But I think if you want to be a top level winger, which is what we need him to be at Arsenal, he's got to start turning those dribbles, those runs, and all the rest of it into tangible, like, sort of goals and assists. That's the next step for Noni.
But the only thing he's lacking.
That's it. But there was a time that Bukayo Saka was a bit like that as well. There was a time that Saka would go on his right foot and you weren't going to get anything out of him. Now, even if the angle's against him, he'll whack it with the right foot into the top roof of the net, or, he's got a much better level of delivery now with that right foot. You develop and you improve. So I'm not worried about Madueke. I think he's moving in the right direction. The injury's a massive blow. It's come at a really shit time for him.
Another injury as well to our ranks.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that I understand fans, by the way, being a bit wary about. How many times is this going to happen? Like, why does it keep happening to us?
I wish I could answer.
It can't just be rotten luck. Like, I don't dispute that bad luck is a part of it, but it can't just be that. So if you're a fan and you're that's your big concern right now, I understand that. And I get that. I don't agree with people going online and posting pictures of the club's doctor and, like, trying to scapegoat the poor guy. Like, the guy's a doctor, man. Like, he's far better qualified medically than any of us are to judge whether a player is fit enough to play or not. And without going into it, it's like, that's what annoyed me about the pandemic as well. It was like, everybody's going to tell me that they know better than a doctor.
Everyone's an expert. As you see with football's the best example. Everyone's an expert on everything. I always say sometimes you can, I don't know what it is, but especially around football, it's I've got it. People can't say I've got it wrong or I don't know. It's like those kind of things are taboo. What did you make of What did you make of Martinelli beyond the obvious off the bench? Because he obviously scored. Do you think he's an impact sub? Like, do you think he'll ever develop into anything more? He probably will start today against Port Vale. But what did you make in Ellie?
I think he can start games because he'd be doing it now from a place of confidence. And I think that's really
Yeah,
important for Gabriel Martinelli. I think he's someone that gets in his own head a little bit. I don't think he's as mentally resilient as some other players. And I think that with all that noise around him, it did lead to him overthinking things. It did lead to him just being a little bit too cautious, maybe getting caught in two minds at certain points. He's at his best when he plays off of instinct. I think Theo Walcott
exactly.
was like that back in the day as well.
Mm.
Slip him in on goal, don't give him time to think, have the defender breathing down his neck, and he's going to take a great touch and finish it. Put him in a situation where he's got half an hour to think about it and he's not going to make the right
It's a
decision.
different player.
Exactly. So I do feel like Martinelli is that type of player. And at the top level, I think he's going to be better for us as an impact player and as an impact sub. I'm starting to think like, because I remember when he first came to Arsenal, I remember saying this kid's a striker.
Yeah,
And then watching him sort of go out on the left, and then he had that really productive season, and you all kind of sat there and went, yeah, you know what? Actually, he can do it from the left. The way he makes runs infield and in behind, and for a club like Arsenal, you're not always going to get those opportunities because invariably we play against low blocks. But when those sort of situations do occur and when the game state suits, that's his strength.
that's his bag,
Running in
man.
behind. That's what he does. And yeah, I'm delighted for him because I felt like for a lot of people in the summer, we got to the point where people were going, I don't know if this guy's got a role to play at Arsenal. I think he's shown with two really important goals in the space of a week that he has got a role to play. What that role is going to be and look like, that's up for debate. And that's for the manager to sort out and figure out. But I think he's got a future at Arsenal. And I'm glad about that because I do like him.
We've got a squad, man, and between him, Trossard, all the attacking options, we're gonna have to utilize all of them. My final thing for you before I let you get out of here, H. Newcastle, then, man. Let's skip the
Mm.
Port Vale game. Hopefully, we win. Max Dowman, etc., get some minutes. But talk to me about Newcastle. Are you expecting a conservative approach? Are you expecting Mikel Arteta to change anything? Do you want him to change anything? How do you feel about everything Newcastle, my guy?
I feel like Mikel Arteta needs one of those 1-0 wins where it comes off of someone's backside just to get people off his case. And
Yeah,
then we can go into a run of games that is much better on paper. And hopefully we can build some momentum, iron out some of those creases in the way that we're playing at the minute. And we can come out of that run in a much healthier and stronger position. I think we just need to get through this game and win it anyway, by hook or by crook. It doesn't really matter. But I do think if there's a game to go with physicality at the kind of forefront of your approach, this is it. This is it more than Man City was. I understand why you look at Man City and you say, they've got so much technical ability. We need to keep a lid on that. Against Newcastle, I don't think you can go completely the other way like we did
it's a
against
fight.
Forest because it's a fight. Exactly. It is literally a dogfight. Like we're going to fight against Joe Linton and Tonali and whoever else plays in there, Bruno Guimaraes, and
Oh
they're
my
going to
day.
kick lumps out of us. That's the nature of the game that we're going to face. So, yeah, I think actually you're probably going to hear less from me about going with physicality going into this one than you would in other games. But again, it's about horses for courses, and when you've got the squad to be able to choose and to rotate and to change things, now the next step is working out how to do that in the most effective way. So just win. I don't care how, just win. And then we go on a run that looks a lot better on paper, and we can try and build some momentum.
And I mean, there's a lot of criticisms, there's a lot of praise, there's a lot of everything in between in relation to Arsenal. The reality is, there's 30 plus games left. We're 5 points behind Liverpool. Everyone's entitled to believe what they want. You can believe all the fragilities or if Arsenal aren't going to win the league. But at the end of the day, we're in September going into October. We have to fight. If you think 5 points behind Liverpool sounds bad, then imagine 8 at the weekend, which is what we need to prevent. And
Yeah.
ultimately, we just got, at the end of the day, Liverpool have to drop points and we have to be there to exploit them. So let's just win the games. Let's just learn the lessons we need to learn and let's just keep stepping forward, man. And like you said, everyone's allowed their opinions on the manager, on the players, and all those things. But I hope it goes well this season. Why not? Because we deserve a Premier League or Champions League or just some element of silverware. We're gonna let Harry get out of here, man. Let people know they can find you, even though his YouTube channel is in the title, folks. Subscribe.
Yeah. Check it out, Chronicles of a Gooner. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, and Patreon as well. Thank you for having me, man. And
You're always welcome.
come over and there's a chat with me and DG where we talk through 3 quite big Arsenal questions at the moment. So come and join us for that as well. And yeah, thanks for having me, man. Always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, H. And people, he's not underselling that. Go and check that out. He didn't let me know the questions this time. And there were some tongue twisters and some very intriguing ones. So yeah, go subscribe. Let us know in the comments on both platforms how you're feeling. Hopefully we beat Port Vale and Newcastle. And week's a long time in football. Who knows? Next Monday we might feel a lot differently. But for now, people, to Harry in the chat, we're out. Everyone stay good, stay blessed. Harry, best of luck to you today, man. In a bit, my guy.
Take care, mate.
Come on.
Always